Hello, everybody. This is Storm, Commissioner of the SADL, and we are back with a standings breakdown uh, for Week 6. Just looking at the standings, basically looking at where everybody's currently sitting, what their records are, and what their differentials are, and talk more about playoffs as they get closer. Um, One thing I want to say before I continue, though, is I was a little wrong last time where I said my Week 5, my mid-season breakdown that we would probably see some teams playoff fates would be more established next week. That's not true. I didn't do the math, but basically the way it's looking at right now is that our number one seed, the Dewey Duwats, have at this stage they have the potential. Their worst possible record would be like 6-4. I think with a -6 differential, right? 4 games left. And that would put them very well below any of these teams down here. I mean, even these teams have a chance uh, of finishing better than that. Not obviously likelihood, no, but it's possible. So even the Dewey Duwats haven't even locked in playoffs, even though they are undefeated. And even our bottom team, the Cerulean Guardians, have a potential of finishing with a best record of 4-6 and a +6 differential. The Turin Trevenants can finish 5-5. They have the worst differential, but they can finish 5-5 with a +3 differential, I believe. And so those are all better than some of these teams' worst case scenarios. Some of these teams can finish 4-6 with a very, very big negative differential. These teams can finish like 3-7. Obviously, like I said, not likely, but that basically just means that no teams have been eliminated from playoffs. No teams have guaranteed playoffs. Next week, though, that 100% will change as we start to see some teams really start to inch away in either direction. Anyways, we'll get right though. After that, I'm going to get right into basically just breaking down the standings. These videos are really short anyway, so it's not like it's a lot. Most of the information I'm talking about is just on screen. But as you can see, the Dewey Duwats are now the only undefeated team remaining in the SADL, toting a strong +18 differential. They do currently have the worst strength of schedule in the league. You should see combined opponents' record is 12-24. That's pretty bad, especially when you consider that the next lowest, I believe, is 15-21. So being 3 wins behind the next lowest strength of schedule or the next easiest strength of schedule, that's I don't want to say it's like a Mickey Mouse record, but it's definitely like it doesn't look as good when you're undefeated. Obviously, it is worth noting that the better you do in a season, the worse your strength of schedule is going to be because you're actively being against it. Like for example, if just say the Dewey Duwats were 0-6, their strength of schedule would be 18-18. Obviously they would be 0-6. They'd be 0-6, and they'd be winless. So it really wouldn't matter. But you would have a better strength of schedule. The more matches you lose, the better your strength of schedule is going to be because it actively goes against what your opponent has done. Um, or it actively benefits your opponent, benefits your strength of schedule. Obviously, that's why strength of schedule is a fourth tiebreaker, or I guess technically a third tiebreaker. So it's not weighted that heavy, but I do have it here just to keep track of it. It will come into play. I mean, it's already came into play in some of the standings. Later down the road, it may come into play in actually determining playoffs. We'll see. Our 2 seed currently is the New York Munchlax, 5-1, +16 differential. That's a very nice differential to be down 1 game, and then a 16-20 strength of schedule. The New York Munchlax and Manny have been on the tear lately. Um, just they I think they dropped their week 1 match. Both of these teams very interesting. Both of our the 2 and 3 team, our second and third seed, 2 of our 5-1 teams who have been on a roll. They're both on 5 game winning streaks. They both dropped their week 1 matches, I believe, and they're doing phenomenal. As you can see, your Baltimore Bullet Punches have dropped to the 4th seed. We did lose our match against the Safari Rhyhorns. As you can see, we ended up with the same differential. It was a 1-0. I had a +14. Bernie had a +12. Me in the middle, +13. However, though, he does have the tiebreaker because he won that match. Therefore, I am the 4th seed currently. Even though my strength of schedule is slightly better. But so we set at the fourth seed. Obviously, differential holds more weight, or is the first tiebreaker. So differential will play a part in that later down the line. Very interesting. Also, these two, our second and third seed do play. So that's actually the second week in a row that's happened, right? Um, I believe Bernie was the or was Bernie the fourth seed. I can't remember what the standings looked like last week. He might have been the fourth seed last week. Either way, so it's some pretty high caliber matchups. Um, this will determine a lot about the league because it's very possible I move back up to second after this week. We'll see. Anchorage Bearticks currently set at the fifth seed with a 4-2 record and a +7 differential. One of the easier strength of schedule so far this season. Um, I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like off the top of my head. I'm not really sure if they play any like really strong teams to really knock them off. I know they have played some of the weaker teams in the league. Not to say every team they played is bad, but you know what I mean. Uh, so we'll see how that turns out for them. The Washington Wishmakers 4-2 as well, claiming the sixth seed. All these teams are right. If playoffs started today, this would be your playoff teams. These six right here. This is your top six. This is your playoff teams. +5 differential, 19 and 17. That is a over 500 strength of schedule. So one of the harder schedules that we've had. So pretty solid performance from them this season as well. I know they've had a lot of tough matches. They had a little drop two. I think they were 3-0. Dropped two matches. Now they've got their first win in a few weeks. Our seventh seed, the Minnesota Glow Kings, sitting at 500. We have two 500 teams. +4 differential, 2016. That's a really, really hard strength of schedule. So it's good to see them kind of hanging in. Obviously, that just shows the competition they've had this season. The House of Mouse also, like I said, 500 with a -2 differential. So our first negative differential on the standings with a even 500 strength of schedule. So very, very balanced. This would be better if this was a 0 differential. It'd be really goofy and fun to look at to see them basically even across the board, especially because um, they're the eighth seed, which means they're kind of like in the middle, sort of. You know what I mean? So very balanced for them. Very average, middle of the road so far this season. The Diamond Defenders 2-4. With a -10 differential, benefiting a lot from not having their differential be affected by um, their match that was forfeited in their favor. 1917, another above 500 strength of schedule. You notice a bit of a trend. Strength of schedule tends to get harder the further down you go, and obviously a lot of that is because of these teams having these bad records. It actively works for their strength of schedule, meaning that they have lost matches and given their opponents. Obviously, the further into the season it goes, the more strength of schedule like that becomes irrelevant because then it's only a smaller percentage of your games. Um, you know, 70 games total, I believe, right? Yeah, but I'm trying to do the math. Obviously, every team plays 10 games, right? So that's 10 total games that affect their strength of schedule out of, I believe, 70. Or no, is it 100? No, it might be 100. Right? No, 10 opponents, 10. Yeah, okay. So out of 100. So that's only 10%. Uh, right now, I believe it's 6 games out of 36. So that's a little higher than 10%. That's just the total percentage of the matches that you have played, how they affect your strength of schedule, if you get what I'm saying. So obviously, the further the season goes on, the less and less your record or the matches you have played have on your strength of schedule. If that makes any sense, if you're following along what I'm saying. The Chicago Toros pulling their way back up. They're on a bit of a win streak. Two great wins. 2-4 currently. Uh, just behind the Diamond Defenders in differential with a 16-20, so a lower end strength of schedule. Partially due to the fact that both of their wins are against lower end teams. Uh, so obviously they have benefited from that to kind of keep themselves relevant in playoff talks. The New Jersey Jinx 1-5 with a -6 differential, obviously benefiting very heavily from that forfeit. Does drop them uh, a a loss, drops them a game, but does not affect their differential. And also one of the hardest differentials, I actually believe the second hardest strength of schedule. Sorry, not differential. Second hardest strength of schedule so far this season, 22-14. They played a lot of great teams. I mean, obviously, this team was had a coach that dropped and has had a new coach. I know I've played them. I believe they've played the Dewey Duwats. This past week they played the Anchorage Veritics, so all really really strong teams that all have 4+ wins. They played a lot of them. Uh, and they played Manny too. They played New York Munchlax as well. So they have played three of the top four teams, I believe. I do not believe they have played the Safari Rhyhorns. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think they have. So yeah, three of the top four teams. Obviously, that does terrible for your, or does wonders for your strength of schedule, should I say? Bad for your record, but good for your strength of schedule. King City Kingdras 1-5, -9 differential, benefiting somewhat. They unfortunately had to have a forfeited match this week due to some scheduling issues. So it did drop them, drop their record, but gives them a decent differential. I mean, it's not the best, but it's manageable, I guess. They currently do hold the hardest strength of schedule, though, in the entire league. And that is very true. I mean, they've played a lot of great teams. They played me. They played the Dewey Duwats. Believe they've played the Anchorage Bear Ticks as well. Um, Off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody else that they've played. But yeah, so also playing a lot of really good teams. The Turin Trevenants finally get their first win of the season due to a forfeit, albeit, but which is why they still have this -21 differential. These lower end teams are very weird because all these teams are the ones who have been affected by forfeits. No team with a 500 or better record has been affected by a forfeit. So it looks really goofy with these really weird differential numbers and these different records. Also, one of the hardest strength of schedule so far this season. Um, so yeah, like I said, you can tell the further down you go, overall the strength of schedules have gotten a little harder. That's just obviously because number one, the worst records, like I said, their individual records play a bigger part in their strength of schedule because we're still, I say, early in the season, but as the season finishes up, you will see that it plays less of an effect. And the Cerulean Guardians currently our only winless team. So we have one winless team, one undefeated team, sitting at a -18 differential and a balanced 500 strength of schedule. As I said, no teams have been eliminated. No teams are guaranteed playoffs because it's, like I said, the likelihood, obviously, is, yeah, we have an idea what teams probably will and won't be in the playoffs come that time. Obviously, there's still a lot of competition in this middle section. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. I'm very interested to see how some of these teams are doing. I won't do it this season. I thought about it. I feel like it's kind of unfair to change how the playoff rules work so close to the end of the season. Next season, we may extend playoffs to 8 teams. I like the smaller playoffs, though, because it makes it that much more competitive. And I also like the strategy of having a 1 and a 2 seed who have a bye week. I love that idea. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a big football fan, so maybe that's why. That's how the NFL playoffs used to work before they expanded to 7 teams. It was 6 teams. 1 and 2 seed had a bye week. I really like that idea, and it just makes, like I said, it just makes the league that much more competitive. Really and truthfully, I mean, because some of these teams, like these, like both of our 500 teams, are really really good players, and it's really the possibility that as the playoffs are right now, they wouldn't be in the playoffs, and that it is likely, or not, I say likely, I don't want to use that word, but it is possible that they won't make playoffs is kind of crazy to me, just because of how good the rest of the league is. Anyways, we'll see how that turns out. I will definitely be making a week 7 video breaking down the standings because that's when playoffs will become the most relevant. Um, so that will definitely be coming out next week for sure. Um, I think that's just about it with the standings. Nothing else I can think of, really and truthfully. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the kill leaders. I'm just going to do this. This doesn't take me a lot of time to do, so I'm just going to add this in with our our standing breakdowns because it is relevant to the league, obviously. So look at our not talk too much about individual teams. Obviously, you can see them here if you want to. Um, I'll just kind of scroll slowly so the coaches can pause and look at it. We've had some obviously some kills be kills are being not being, I say drop, but not being added up because of forfeits. So that kind of sucks, unfortunately, for the teams that are affected by those forfeits. But yeah, this is the current standings for each individual team. And then we have our league leaders. The Dewey Duat securing not one but two 10-kill Pokemon so far this season after Excalibur's amazing week 6. Um, Obviously, both tied for first place. We've had some more Pokemon join the 8. The 8 get 8 kills. Dragapult got a few kills this week. Primarina got one as well, so they're now at 8. Technically, this would tie up my top 5, but I decided to leave the 7s in here just because they were on here last week, and neither of these Pokemon got a chance to get a kill this week. So this is basically what the league leaders look like. Technically our top, what, 8, but yeah. So this is the current league leaders, current kill leaders for the SADL, and that's really just about it. Honestly, I think for this video, I've kind of went over everything I wanted to. Just a quick update, follow up. Like I said, I thought playoff things would have been playoff picture would start to have shaped up a little bit more this week. It hasn't so far. There's still obviously a lot of time left. We don't have any teams that are eliminated, no teams that are guaranteed. Within the next couple weeks, we will obviously now starts to become very true. So I'll be keeping up to date with it, talking about playoff scenarios, and that becomes more relevant. But until then, I will see you guys when I put out my week 7 match in the next coming days. Like I said, I've said this before in a couple videos. I'm going to be on vacation, so I'm going to try and I really want to make these videos, especially because this is a very intense time in the league. Um, so I'll definitely be trying to work on those while I'm away. I will have my laptop with me, but obviously I'm going to be busy with family and whatnot. So we'll see how that turns out. Keep you guys updated. Obviously, my coaches will obviously I'll be talking in Discord at least somewhat. Uh, so those outside of the league be looking out for the videos. I can't guarantee when or if they'll be dropped. Either way, though, thank you very much for watching the video. Um, I will see y'all probably Sunday or Monday. We'll see. But until then, be safe, everybody.